Hello, welcome to another episode of Despite the Challenges, a show where we showcase people who not only have overcome their own impeding circumstances, barriers, but they inspire us so much with the amazing abilities that they have and the contribution that they have made to the society. Today, my guest is a young man who, at the age of 2, was diagnosed with a rare type of cancer at that time. There were very few survivors. At age 10, his leg was amputated, and he wanted to become a dancer. So let's hear more directly from Rohit. Rohit Baxi is my guest today. Rohit, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ritu. Thank you so much for having me here.
Welcome. Tell us in your own words.
In all my words.
Yes.
Well, I was born a normal child. I don't have any recollection of what happened to me at the age of 2, but I do remember my mom telling me that whenever she would give me a bath, I would cry. And she thought that I did not like water at that time. Eventually, they figured that something was wrong with my leg. And we were in India at that time, and they took me to doctors, and they said that there could be a problem with my bone or with my leg, and they conducted a few tests, and ultimately they discovered that I had Ewing sarcoma of my tibia, which was my part of my left leg, and they said that I'll have to go through radiations and chemotherapy at the age of 2 to eradicate the cancer. That was done, and I was recuperating from it, and I think at the age of 2, when you go through something such a severe form of treatment, the next 5-6 years I was still recovering from the chemotherapy and radiations and stuff. And at the age of 10, they said that the cancer had resurfaced.
Okay.
In part of tibia. So they brought me to US because my parents wanted to provide me with the best form of medical facilities and treatments. And at that time, it was decided that it's best for them to amputate my left leg.
Wow.
And I lost my leg at the age of 10. And since then, it's been a journey. I learn every day how to walk. I learn every day how to stand. I learn every day how to jump or to cross the street. But somewhere, the things that I have gone through as an individual has helped me shape up my current life and my passion towards dance. And now I run one of the largest Bollywood dance schools in USA, and we are in New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Ohio, Vancouver, and we are opening up in London too.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, and you work with a global firm as an engineer as well.
Yes, I do.
That's your full time.
That's my full time.
So
job.
which is full time, the job or the passion?
Well, the job is full time. Definitely, that's where I get my bread and butter. And the dance was something that I started off as a hobby because it's just like whenever you get a scar on your face, you want to put a foundation. So my foundation was my dance because I wanted to prove to myself that I'm complete. Because being a kid, growing up as a child, people tend to show pity to you, but in that process, they end up making you feel very inadequate because you don't
unfortunately,
yes. that is the way the world is structured around us, and I always felt that I wasn't complete as an individual because I couldn't wear shorts. I couldn't wear Bermuda shorts to a beach because my leg would show and people would ask me what's wrong. I couldn't walk. I used to use crutches for the longest time. And on top of that, I wanted to be a dancer. So there was this whole different individual inside me telling me that I am a dancer and I should be a dancer. So I used to go to different dance schools back home in India, here in US too. And some of them were very, very nice. They taught me dancing, but some of them were nice to the extent that they would never let me go on stage because nobody wanted to take a liability of a handicapped person performing on the stage. And I used to feel that, if given a chance, I can dance better than many of the kids who are dancing on stage. So I worked hard, learned from my mistakes, learned how to dance, how to show myself as a complete human being. And today, although I don't have a leg, but I have so many kids who are my legs, who take my dance form and they take it further. And I can't thank them enough because they trust me and they trust my technique, my dancing style, and my passion towards dance. That they come, they give me love, and even after I'm gone, after like in 20 years, we all will be like we'll stop dancing and I might retire, but that legacy will continue, and a portion of
Absolutely.
my dance will stay with these kids and hopefully with their kids and their generations. And
And I'm so inspired to see some of the pictures and on your website as you have, and we'll show our audience as well some of the clips that of your performances and the teaching that you have done for the dance schools. The dances that you teach or perform aren't just simple movements.
no,
They're
no, no.
complex dances.
Yeah.
That's really inspiring. And I am sure people, when you reached out to the dance school as a student, they had their they were skeptical of you.
Right.
What you went through at that time? How did you convince them that you need to be accepted as a student?
I think before the dance course, I had to convince my parents that I like, let me pursue dancing, because my parents were just walk and be normal and you'll be fine, study and get a job and you'll be okay. But for them to understand that no, I'm a passionate dancer was a journey for me, and to convince myself that no matter how much people laugh at you, no matter how much people put you down, if you want something really badly, go for it. And if you want it with all honesty and integrity,
Yes.
God and somebody up there will help you achieve that. I don't think so. I didn't do much compared to the amount of love and support that I've received from people, and that gave me the power to go up further.
And I love the part when you say that when you do whatever you do, especially in your case, the dance, you dance from heart.
Right.
On the stage, people would notice the moves you have made, not
Right.
who you are,
Right.
what you have performed.
Right.
It gets noticed. So tell me the story onward. Then you learned from Bollywood.
I've learned from Bollywood choreographers. I learned from Western choreographers, and I've learned from various teachers. It'll be impossible for me to take one name or take all the names together. But the biggest learning experience for me was my parents, because they would always be honest towards me and tell me this was nice or this was bad.
Okay.
And my mom is my dad are my biggest supporters, and they would tell me, okay, approach the dance this way. And I think we started off as a basement school with 4 kids. It was never meant to be industry to begin with. And the 4 kids turned into 10 and 14, and right now we have over 1,000 kids enrolled in our school.
Wow. This is throughout all your locations.
Throughout all my locations.
All your locations. Wow. That's such a accomplishment.
Thank you.
Yes. So the dances that you personally learned and performed, could you tell a little bit more about how it changed you from inside, from the person that you wanted to convince first yourself, then people around you, and then people who didn't believe in your abilities?
I think as a handicapped kid growing up, I think we all get used to the looks that we get from people.
Yes.
The looks could be out of compassion, or looks could
Yes.
be out of disgust too, because sometimes you can't differentiate if the look is a compassionate look or a look of disgust. So as a kid, I used to always go to malls and stores, and I would be very conscious about people are looking at me and I'm not walking properly, so people are looking at me. And that was the biggest challenge psychologically to overcome that. Let people look at me and I can do it better than many of the people out there. And that was the self-realization process I started at the age of 15. That if I don't take a grip of my own life and prove it to the world that I can do everything, nobody will give me the chance. And a lot of amputees, they go through a lot of emotional turmoil because
especially in teenage years.
especially in teenage
That's
years,
even for a normal young person.
yeah.
It's very tough age.
A teenager would be worried about an acne issue. Like imagine a teenage going through a handicap issue. That itself is a big roadblock for us.
Internally, yes.
Yes.
Before it is externally, internally is a
Internally,
bigger
yes,
block.
yeah.
Yes.
And dancing, I used to dance for hours in the bathroom. I didn't even tell my mom and dad that time, and I would just dance with my hands, because my thing was is that if my hands are pretty and if the hands work well, they won't look at my body. So I would sit in the front of the computer and while I'm studying, I would just choreograph with my hands, and I'm like, well, okay, hands are good. Now let me take a step further to make my body look better, and it was a process. It was a lot of self-confidence, exploring my own self-confidence that I can do it. And now I can say that, like one of my kids are one of the best dancers, Bollywood dancers that the tri-state area has seen, because they learn from their heart and they deliver from their heart and soul, and they deliver just pure dance on stage.
Dance with music and rhythm, and I'm sure that it takes a lot. It's a complete body-mind experience.
Right.
It's not as easy just to move the body. You have to be in tune with the music and the rhythm and the speed.
And the overall view of the dancing. Yeah.
Absolutely, and the whole choreography and synchronization of what's happening at the stage. What inspires you when you see these children that you are preparing them and they learn from passion because you teach them with a passion? What inspires you most besides just they're learning good dance?
What inspires me most is that I want these kids to learn to be good individuals and to be honest performers. What inspires me is the fact that I want, when they go up on stage, they should enjoy the experience. These kids are coming not to prove a point to somebody, like I did. I went on stage to prove a point to myself and to my parents and to my loved ones that give me a chance, I can dance, and by the grace of God, I was able to do it. But these kids, I want them to have fun, that even when they turn 60 and they sit with their grandkids and they say that there was a dance teacher we had, and he didn't have a leg, but he danced like a crazy guy. I want that memory to go home with these kids. That no matter what because nobody will be dancing for the rest of their life. It's a phase.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm dancing.
Well, yeah, we could maybe with their hands.
with their hands and stuff. But I want my kids to remember me when they turn 60 and they say that we had a dance teacher. He was amazing. And if they do that, I'll be gone by that time. But my legacy will live on this earth, and that's what I want to prove to the community.
Wonderful. And I'm sure that there is a whole lot more that these children learn just being good individuals and learning additional skills besides their education.
Yeah, we teach them to be humble. Being humble is, if you are humble, half of your battle is won already. As a dancer, you will keep on learning for the rest of your life. You can never be a know-it-all kind of a person. So being humble is what we teach them, and that is what we try to inculcate in the kids, that if you are humble and if you are learning with all honesty, you'll excel in it. There's no stopping you. If I can dance with a leg and a half, you have two legs. Go capture the world, and the world will be on your feet.
What other messages you try to present through these dances, through the musics, through the presentation, not just overcoming their own shortcomings, being a good person, but I'm sure that the dances, the music, the story itself are very powerful. If we see the cultural dances, so to speak, there is usually the expression, the emotion, there's so many different aspects of the presentations of the whole skill.
Right.
What do you see more coming out of these children when you observe them?
I see them becoming more responsible individuals. I see them becoming leaders. I have seen so many of my kids who have become teachers in my school, or they have become leads, or they have become actors. We also do a theater portion of our school where we where we teach acting as well as dance. So I have seen them become um, uh, a more wholesome individuals. And you know, I always tell them this thing, that there's a life beyond dance. There's a life beyond dance, and that life beyond dance is what the real life is all about. I'm just a small factor. Yeah, for me, this is my life. But for you, you have to study hard and you have to become doctors, engineers, or whatever you want to become. But whatever you do it with all your passion. And they do that. And that is what I have tried to teach them. And that is what they give me unconditional love. Like, no matter how many months, years, or you know, decades they stay with me. The love that I get is that they become my family, and I get that sense that this is my family, and I'll hear from them after many years that you know, I'm called Bhai, basically. Bhai in the Indian terms means big brother.
Big brother, yes.
And they will send me messages after 7-8 years that, oh, I'm getting married, I'm having a kid, and my kid will come to you, and I'm like, okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think we have cultivated a family of Satrangi. Satrangi, the name of our dance school.
Yes.
And it's just like the name signifies that it's an amalgamation of colors.
Yes.
We are an amalgamation of all different emotions, human elements, and personalities. And that is why we have become such an amazing dance school to begin with.
That's amazing. I want to know a little bit more of your performances that you have performed, the places that you have been to, and the kind of stages you have been to around the world.
Well, I started from a very small corporate show. It was a Diwali event, and I think my first event was, I was so happy that we went out for a burger night after that, because we felt it was the biggest thing that has happened to us. But I performed for a lot of Bollywood film stars for their concerts. We have done opening shows for playback singers like Asha Bhosle. We have done shows for Shah Rukh Khan concerts. We have also performed for Obama in 2009 for his Corzine Obama convention in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
And we were chosen to present a Bollywood segment for his opening. And we are also producing our own Broadway style dance and theater show that's called Winter Manmohini. And you know, we have just finished our tour right now. We performed in Ohio, and we are back right now, and we are preparing for the next tour right now.
So just for my audience, I just want to translate the word Manmohini, which means enchantment.
Enchantment, yeah.
Yes. So what's the theme in that enchantment?
It's a love story. It's a love story, and we figured that let's write a story, and the story progresses every year.
Okay.
And we want the kids to progress every year, and we want the kids to grow with it every year. So we are in our 4th year right now. And it's a story about a girl who was madly in love with a guy back in 1947, how they get reincarnated, how they meet again in Manhattan, how they fall in love, how they get married, and how they're having kids now. And the next year will be when the kids will grow up. So it's just like we are a family of dancers. Our show is about a family, and how the love progresses, and how it culminates into a family, and how that love grows and makes it into a full show.
So is it sort of a classical dances?
No, it's all fusion.
Okay.
It's all fusion. We do international freestyle, contemporary. We do a bit of jazz, a bit of hip hop. We do a bit of semi-classical dance forms in Bollywood, and we have teachers who excel in each of these areas, and we create productions that we present to the audience members.
Okay. When you go all over these places that you have been, and you just returned from a show
in Ohio,
from Ohio, what are the personal challenges that you face yourself, given that it is passion? I know that you live that.
Right.
The challenges, the real life challenges that you still try to manage your work life with your passion and your health.
Well, there are a lot of issues. You know, at the end of the day, I don't have a leg. So no matter how much I jump around and dance, at the end of the day, I do have to take off my leg and go to bed. And that itself is a big challenge, because you might look complete in front of the whole world, but at the end of the day, you do have to go back to your crutches, you know, in the night to sleep. I do get cuts, bruises, muscle spasms, pinched nerves, because my prosthetic leg cuts around my stump, and then I have like there are days when I can't even stand up. There's so much of pain. But because I have chosen this dance industry, I can sit back and look weak for the people who trust me and people who look up to me. So I always put up a brave front and I say that, you know what, it's just pain, it'll go away, but the dance will stay around forever. So I push myself and I teach and I dance. And if you would ask anybody in Satrangi, they will tell you that he needs to sit down for a minute, because he never sits down whenever there's a show. I'm always up and running. The personal challenges are like, yeah, I do get tired. I do get aches and pains. Whenever I get a new prosthetic leg, I forget how to walk. So for me, that whole process starts again. And it is so frustrating, because walking is something that God gave you. You were born with it. And when something that's so basic is taken away from you, you feel very frustrated, because you have to keep on relearning how to walk. I can go to a beach and be inside water. I've never been inside water since I was 10, and I miss it. I don't know how it is, because I've never been inside water with my two legs. So there are things that I can do, but there are things that I can do much more than that. So I try to like.
So you compensate.
I compensate it,
yes.
and then I try to find my happiness in whatever I'm doing right now.
Now, these are very powerful statements that you make, that you have to put a brave face because it's just a pain and go away. In more normal cases, we have aches and pains, and we just kind of slow ourselves down because of that.
Right.
And having such a big challenge and coming out, that's really inspiring, extremely inspiring. I want to know a little bit more about the future plans that you have.
The future plans that I have is that I do want to I am trying to reach out to other amputee and their organizations, because there's no organization as such right now that will teach dance to amputees. And I want to reach out to those organizations and orthopedic centers, where we can just open up a center and tell these patients they can just come and dance and feel happy about it, because I want them
give
to
them something to feel good about themselves.
Something to feel good about it. We are working on a project. Most probably by the early next year, we will have we are working with another dance school, and we're gonna like partner, and then we'll try to come up with that. Our next future project is also our Vintam and Mohini show, which is coming up for 2015. And also to teach more powerful dances and to push myself further to create amazing dances.
A little bit more.
Yeah, a little
bit more. I know you had been doing a lot of philanthropy work as well.
Right.
Anything besides this amputee school dancing, anything else that you're really passionate about?
We do teach autistic and Down syndrome kids, and we don't charge for it. It's a completely free service. Anybody out there is watching, if you have a special needs child and they want to learn dance, bring them us. We will not charge you any money. We'll give you free services, and we'll teach them dance, and we put them on stage. And whenever these kids perform, I cry, because I feel that that was my purpose of life. Maybe that is why God made me a dance teacher, so that I could make these kids experience how amazing Limelight is, because nobody else would have given them the opportunity. So I think whenever I see them dance, they are such amazing kids, and these autistic and special needs kids and Down syndrome kids are so amazing. And when I see them jump around the stage, it just is amazing for us to
Oh, I'm sure, and I can only imagine what their parents receive out of those moments.
Yeah, I've seen them cry. I've seen them
sure.
hug them, and that itself is a very,
must be very sentimental.
Yeah.
They can cherish those memories.
Yeah. As I said, there's life beyond dance. You have to learn how to be a better individual, and you have to heal yourself in order to be able to heal others.
I'm glad you said that, and it's a lot of healing that comes in.
Right.
When we give, we receive.
Right. What we give is what we receive. Yeah.
When we give, we receive, and I hear that a lot, and I personally find that with my own story. So I am sure there's a whole lot to learn, and we'll show our viewers some of the clips as well you have done. And your website is satrangifusion.com, and we can provide our viewers with the contact information for your upcoming shows, etc. Before we wrap up, I want to ask a couple of more questions. So, the people that your role models and people who inspired you the most when you were growing up?
People who inspired me the most was Sudha Chandran, the lady who does Bharatanatyam in India, and she lost her leg. I remember it was around the same time I lost my leg, but she was much older than me, and she's a dancer. I used to watch her, and I would be like, "Oh my gosh, she can dance! Oh my god, that's like awesome!" And I was a 10-year-old kid, like looking at the TV. But I think that she became my first angel, I would say, who told me that there's a hope. Don't lose heart. And my role models are my mom and dad, who have just given me support and unconditional support. Like they are one of the best parents you can ever ask for. Like my mom still stitches costumes for my dance school. It could be 100 pieces or 200 pieces, and she just wants my dancers to look amazing. My dad still cries and hugs me whenever I do a good job. My sister, and I have somebody who loves me a lot, and that person stands next to me and gives me support. So these people are my role models, and I can't take the name of the person because
understand.
And these people are my role models because they give me the support and the oxygen that I need daily to go much further. My sister actually runs my Ohio centers, and my role models are my kids, and my dancers are my choreographers. They are my role models because, gosh, if I was at 15, if I could dance like some of my choreographers and my teachers or my kids, like I would have been like somewhere else,
Somewhere else.
So they are my role models too.
Yes.
So all these people.
But you have brought them to where they are now.
Well, it's because of the parents, because they trusted me with the work, and you can only thank the kids, but it's the parents who trust me, and they trust my, like it's a very big thing for the Indian community, especially for people to say, okay, I'm going to send my kid to a dance school where there's a dance teacher who doesn't have a leg. Like they have millions of choices out there.
So there's a judgment about who is teaching.
Yeah, but for them to trust me and my technique and my dance style and my passion, and to respect it and to send their kids to my school itself is amazing, because when you have 50 different dance schools out there, why would you send it to me? But by God's grace, we sometimes have to tell people no, that we don't have to pay, slots empty, and we tell people that we have to go and come back in 2 months and we'll take you in. So it's a whole package deal with people.
Rohit, any message out for the audience?
The message for audience I would like to give is that no matter how difficult your life gets, don't give up, because God has a plan for everybody. I know when you're going through the storm, you think that everything is dark and gloomy, but staying in the storm is better than staying in a vacuum when there's nothing around. So just keep on going, have faith in yourself, and if you need something and you want something really badly, work towards it and you will get it. And the last message for my kids, my Satrangi kids, my parents, my Satrangi parents and my family and my love of my life is that thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for putting up with me, and thank you so much for being my backbone, because all of you guys have made me the person that I am today. So thank you so much for that.
Rohit, thank you so much for being here today.
And
for our audience, a food for thought. If you think positively, sounds become music, movements become dance, smiles becomes laughter, mind becomes meditations, and life becomes celebration. I am host Ritu Chopra. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye now.